In this module, we will learn the inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs of the Collect Requirements process. Collect Requirements is the process of working with project stakeholders to understand and document the features, functions, and characteristics of product deliverables and other expectations to meet project objectives. The completion of this process will help the team document their understanding of product scope, providing an essential step towards the development of project scope. The PMBOK guide lists 3 plans as inputs to the Collect Requirements process. The Requirements Management Plan should define how the Collect Requirements process will be performed. This may describe the tools to be used, the participating stakeholders, and the frequency of iteration. This will also describe how the requirements will be managed over the project lifecycle, to include the adding, removing, or modification of requirements. The Requirements Management Plan should also describe how deliverables will be validated by stakeholders. The Scope Management Plan provides an overall documented approach to the planning, monitoring, and controlling of project scope. This may be useful since the collected requirements will lead into other scope planning processes. Finally, the Stakeholder Management Plan is also defined as an input, since stakeholder engagement will be key to successfully managing the product requirements and overall project scope. The PMBOK guide also lists 3 project documents as inputs to the Collect Requirements process. The project charter may provide high-level requirements and desired product characteristics as determined during project initiation. The Stakeholder Register is a list of identified stakeholders, an output of the Identify Stakeholders process, providing insight as to which stakeholders will contribute product and project requirements. The business case provides a description of why the project deliverables are needed, which will influence their requirements. The PMBOK guide lists many different tools and techniques for the Collect Requirements process. Since this list can be a bit overwhelming, it is helpful to simplify it into some general themes. All of the tools and techniques listed are ways to engage with project stakeholders or work as a project team to determine product needs. Simply put, this collection of tools and techniques helps the project team ask the project stakeholders, what do you want in the final deliverable? This may include product features, functionalities, characteristics, or a description of appearance. While this question may seem fairly straightforward, there can be many challenges in completing this process. Stakeholders may not know exactly what they want. Stakeholders may not be able to describe their needs completely or accurately. Stakeholders may not understand technical limitations or constraints. Stakeholders may not be able to anticipate the changing project environment. Stakeholders may introduce competing requirements where one must be chosen over another. To help alleviate these challenges, various tools and techniques may be utilized. The first group of tools and techniques we will discuss focuses on stakeholder engagement. Interviews can be used as a formal or informal way to ask stakeholders about the desired features and functions of project deliverables. This may be one-on-one or with small groups. Focus groups are a way to collect feedback about product expectations by bringing together stakeholders for discussion led by a trained moderator. This conversation may lead to topics not addressed in an interview. When a large or broad audience needs to be reached, questionnaires and surveys can be used to help identify requirements and provide data which can be used for statistical analysis. Benchmarking can be used to compare stakeholder business processes and needs to existing organizations with similar operations. Similarly, document analysis may be used to research stakeholder documentation to better understand their business environment and needs. Decision-making can be used to choose between trade-offs or competing requirements. Some methods include unanimity, majority, plurality, and dictatorship. In addition to the tools and techniques utilized for stakeholder engagement, there are other tools and techniques that the project team may utilize to help organize and prioritize requirements. Data representation can help organize project and product requirements and enhance product innovation. Examples include mind mapping and affinity diagrams. Nominal group technique uses a moderator to lead group brainstorming. Anonymous voting can be used to rank ideas for future discussion. When stakeholders cannot accurately describe their requirements, observation can be used to watch them perform a job function and identify their problems that need to be resolved by the product to be developed. Facilitation sessions bring together cross-functional key stakeholders to gather product requirements and establish relationships to improve communication. This exercise can help the cross-functional teams better understand conflicts and constraints that may exist between the groups and facilitate problem solving. Context diagrams can be used to visually display processes or business systems to help understand component integration and workflows. This is similar to flowcharts, which will be introduced later in this course. Lastly, prototypes can be created and shared with stakeholders to generate feedback based on tangible models of the final product. Feedback may spawn more detailed requirements from stakeholders. As a result of performing these various tools and techniques, two outputs are generated. Requirements documentation is the formal description of individual requirements and how they will meet the business need for the project. Through progressive elaboration, these may begin high level and become more detailed throughout the project lifecycle. For successful scope definition, requirements should be clear, measurable, testable, complete, and consistent. Components of requirements documentation may include business requirements, solution requirements, stakeholder requirements, project performance requirements, as well as any assumptions and constraints that may exist. Secondly, the requirements traceability matrix is a table linking deliverable requirements to the originating business needs through the final user acceptance testing. This structure helps to ensure that documented requirements are delivered at the end of the project and helps manage changes to product scope. The major theme of the Collect Requirements process is working with project stakeholders to understand and document the features, functions, and characteristics of project deliverables and other needs to meet project objectives. As a result of this process, the team documents their understanding of product scope in the requirements documentation and requirements traceability matrix. This provides a foundation for the development of project scope. Since stakeholders may be reluctant to commit to their requirements, it is the project manager's responsibility to ensure the successful completion of this process.